Yo, what it do, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's Fandom Frequency, where we dive into the entire multiverse of pop culture, man. Doesn't matter what it is, we talk about it around these parts. If you're digging the vibe, make sure you click the buttons below the video and show all that support for the channel and all that good jazz. But with no further ado, let's get right into this topic today. And we're coming at y'all with Daredevil episode 7 and 8 of Daredevil Born Again, man. And let me tell you what, excellent couple episodes of my personal opinion. I've really been digging these last two, coming at y'all with a little bit of a double feature here. You know what I'm saying? Got a little bit caught up with a lot of stuff last week, so I wasn't able to get to it. But we're going to be talking about episode 7 and 8 and kind of dealing with the aftermath of Muse and all that stuff, and then dealing with reintroducing Bullseye back into the series and really addressing the fact that Vanessa was the one that ordered the hit on Foggy, at least seemingly. So there's a lot of big reveals in these last couple episodes and whatnot, and really diving into the full-on nature of Matt and him wanting to stray away from his Daredevil persona, but now it seems like he's fully embracing it and getting back on the saddle, so to speak. And with all that stuff going on in these last two episodes, I really feel like the vibe of kind of this new rebranded Daredevil Born Again that they did in response to them stopping midway through filming the previous version of the series that we're going to do, closer to the She-Hulk kind of vibe. And I think episode 5 with Yusuf Khan and the bank robbery was a really good example of the tone that we're going to be playing with in that show, and the tone that they were kind of going for, which I thought in context of that episode and everything going on, mixed with some of the darker elements I think that they brought in with some of the reshoots, I think worked really well. And I can see some of the appeal of what they were going for with that week to week kind of procedural kind of vibe going on with the courtroom drama and everything going on with White Tiger and things like that, which I think was probably in the script before, but there might have been some other heroes, other things going on in later episodes that maybe didn't deal with the exact same storyline because the police corruption, the murder, and the seemingly corrupt cops using the iconography of the Punisher in order to go out there and do hits themselves, and all the more heavier themes that they were going with in this particular season, especially with episodes 1 being kind of the new regime coming in and really putting their spin on it with, I think, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who are famous for doing Loki, working on Loki season 2, Moon Knight, and a really cool indie sci-fi horror thing. Synchronic is a big one. That was actually one of the first reviews we ever did on the channel, actually, for a full-on film, was Synchronic, which is available on Netflix from these two directors. And I think they've always had such a great visual flair, but such a great knack for really for being able to tell really dark and twisted stories and really tie characters and themes together in a way that's very satisfying, but also not the same old run-of-the-mill stuff that you're always going to see. And I think the way that they were able to really come in and kind of fix and right the ship and kind of bring in these elements from the Netflix show in the first 3 seasons of it, you know what I mean, and bringing it into the present with this, really getting into the MCU, but not forgetting about the thematic elements that really made Daredevil the special show that it was while it was on Netflix. So I love the way that they're able to bridge the gap, and you really feel that in episodes 8, but also episode 7 to a degree, but I really think you feel it in episode 8, in the whole aftermath of Heather being involved with Muse and being his therapist essentially, and then ended up almost damn near becoming one of his victims. And she shot that fool up after Daredevil popped up, broad daylight by the way, to try to intervene and kind of fix the situation and whatnot. And they had a really cool fight as well, in Heather's office, and I thought that was really cool the way they were able to execute that, showing Muse's judo background versus Matt's more kind of like kung fu ninja esque type of martial arts that he's putting in there, with a little bit of jujitsu mixed in there, at least stylistically with the choreography, at least in my opinion. Not a combat fighting expert, but I have a little bit of experience myself, so I think that's what it is. But getting to see their clash of styles and them go head to head was really cool, and I wish we could have got more back and forth with Muse and Daredevil. That's one of my few complaints with these last couple episodes here and with the show overall. I think they really could have done a little bit more to build up Muse as a character and really get us involved with him and really get an understanding of his perspective a little bit more. But overall, still a very enjoyable kind of villain in the show, and was very effective in the scenes that we saw him in, and especially in this moment with Heather, cutting her wrist up and everything like that, and really putting her life at risk, and really showing the dark side of vigilantes, and really showing the dark side of serial killers, and really showing the dark side of what New York has become, in this world of Daredevil is so damn impactful and so well done. So it's definitely a bit of a mixed bag with the character of Muse, but overall, I liked his portrayal. I like the actor. I like the choreography and the combat with him and Daredevil, and I like the sick, twisted nature that they really brought from the comics in the character and really brought it to the screen. And didn't pull too many punches in that regard either. I just wish they gave the character a little bit more development and a little bit more screen time in order to let us get a little more surprised with the reveal of who Muse really was and what his secret identity is, but also getting a sense of who he was as a person, both with and with the mask on and off. So I think that was the only element really with that character that kind of fell short for me. But the aftermath of what he's done and the repercussions of his actions and the way that it affects Heather and Daredevil and her and Matt's relationship, I think has been really good and has been the most interesting things going on with Matt Murdock and Heather, respectfully, as kind of a as with her being a love interest and them being a couple, has been kind of falling flat for me for most of the season. So getting to see it come full circle here in the last two episodes, I think really makes it a lot stronger, a lot more nuanced, and a lot more interesting than what was going on before. The fact that she hasn't really discovered that Matt is Daredevil to me is a little puzzling, especially when in the comics that she does. So I think that's a little bit of an element that they are leaving on the table that maybe they will kind of come and everything will come to a head in the finale and they'll finally tie that up with a nice bow and really start diving into that aspect, whether they stay together or break apart, really making her more of a central supporting character in Matt Murdock's life and as a character within the context and the construct of the show. I think could really ultimately make her a much more interesting character. And I think they're definitely on the ways of doing that. And maybe it's a little bit late, but better late than never, as they always say. So definitely dug those elements with that. But now tying into really episode 8, where I think a lot of the meat and potatoes of this is where everything really comes to a head and the character arcs are really, really paid off in a really great way when it comes to the relations that Vanessa had with that dude while Wilson Fisk was away, aka Kingpin, of course, and her and him coming together and having him or having her deal with the problem by shooting the guy when he promised he wouldn't kill her, and kind of ends up manipulating her into doing so. She ends up double tapping the guy and getting rid of him once and for all, while Matt is kind of dealing with the fact that he's trying to get to the bottom of who the hell ordered the hit on Foggy, and he even goes back to Josie's to kind of talk things over with Cherry and her and kind of get a little bit more perspective on what's going on. And he's going off on people at the office and with his partner, what's her name, Kirsten, over there at the law firm that he's working for, and things are really falling apart for Matt, and he's really diving back into that darkness of himself and really showing that Daredevil is who he truly wants to be, and Matt Murdock is who he feels like he needs to be, and feels like the actual alter ego to Daredevil really being who Matt is as a person. So I love the way that they're able to play that dichotomy and that whole aspect of Daredevil and a lot of superhero and vigilante characters in general, Batman and all these other characters, you know what I mean? And I think the way they're able to make it work within the construct of the show and really bring it in context with what's happened before in the previous 3 seasons of Daredevil and what's going on in this whole season of Daredevil Born Again, and the way that they brought him back into the costume, into really fully embracing this side of himself again that he was trying to suppress out of respect and out of a desperate need to want to live up to what Foggy represented in Matt's mind and what he represented to him as a person and what his friendship and what his values really mean to him as a person, and how he wanted to continue that and to kind of carry that on in the absence of Foggy being around. And I can really relate to a lot of that and that grief and that guilt that he feels over Foggy being killed in general and being in relation to the whole Daredevil aspect in general. I think is really powerful in the way that they're able to play it here while Matt's really investigating and even at one point beating the hell up out of Point Dexter at Rikers Island in the little interrogation room when Point Dexter, aka Bullseye, wants to speak to him, and he knows that he is involved, and he knows that it had to be Fisk or something related to that, and that has to be what the overarching kind of answer is to who ended up ordering this hit. But it takes Matt a little bit of a while to kind of get the wheels turning and figure it out. But once he gets to the gala or whatever the hell, the little rich people's event that that Fisk is kind of hosting, and he invites Heather and Matt too. I think that's really where everything comes full circle and where he really starts to figure out that Vanessa's the one that ordered the hit. Because as we know, she took over the Empire while Wilson Fisk was away, wherever he was abroad and all that shit in between season 3 of Daredevil and this season. And her really fully embracing the business and really becoming the kingpin in her own right and really going down this dark path in a way we never really saw before in the first 3 seasons, and her really holding it down. is very interesting in us kind of now seeing, along with Matt, us the audience members really figuring out that Vanessa was the one that ordered the hit on Foggy to begin with, and how they're kind of holding the secret of Matt as Daredevil over his head for his girlfriend and kind of blowing everything up, because everyone's not fully aware that Matt is Daredevil. And I think everything's coming to a head with this task force. And I think by the end of this season, he may get ousted by these guys and he may get revealed to be Daredevil, be the devil of Hell's Kitchen. And that's something that's been really tightly under wraps this entire time. And the one element that they really brought to the Marvel Universe of really having characters have secret identities has never been done any better than it was in this in the previous Daredevil show and this one right here. So getting to see how that all might come to a head is super duper interesting to me, and I can't wait to see where those things go. But Poindexter obviously breaks out of prison, gets out of there, and he goes to this thing in order to seemingly snipe Vanessa, but then it looks more like he was trying to snipe Kingpin, but Daredevil gets in the way, aka Matt Murdock. Matt jumps in the way, gets shot himself kind of in the shoulder chest area. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be put on the shelf. Are we going to get more Daredevil action? You know what I mean? Without having to suspend too much disbelief in this finale. So very interesting stuff going on there. Where are things going to go with Poindexter? Is he going to go full on Bullseye? Is he going to be a loose cannon? Is he against the Fisk Empire and Daredevil at the same time, which I think can make him such a great wild card and a much more interesting element going on in the season to come and in the finale here. And where things are going to go with Heather and Matt, and is she going to figure out what Matt's true identity is and what he's doing at night? All very interesting questions. Very, very good 2-episode punch right here with episodes 7 and 8. We're going to be getting into the finale of Daredevil Born Again next week. And then right after that, we're going to be jumping into Andor. Season 2 is finally dropping once again on Disney+. It's going to be coming out in 3-episode arcs each week. So due to the fact that I do work evenings almost fucking every time that I work, through the week, because I do have a full-time job while I'm balancing things here on the channel, I will be probably getting those Andor reviews to y'all the following day, no later than Thursday, but a lot of the times I'll get it to you guys the following day on those Wednesdays, because I got to have a couple hours or so in order to be able to watch the episode. So I'll probably be able to watch one when I get home from work that night when it drops, because I literally start my shift a lot of the times literally right when they drop the episodes on Disney+. So I'll be getting that to you guys within the first 24 to 48 hours of full-on spoiler breakdown and review and recap for Andor Season 2 as that's progressing. And this weekend, we got The Last of Us Season 2 coming back at us real strong. I do happen to be off on Sundays a lot, so I may be busy shooting some other stuff and working with my band on our album, but I'm going to try to squeeze in some time there to watch the episode, do my review that night, and get it out to y'all by the following day on Monday, because I tend to be off on Monday as well. So look out for Last of Us recaps coming on the following Monday for every episode for that. I'm not sure how many episodes they're doing, but probably around 7 or 8, I'd assume. And then we're going to be doing those 3-episode recaps of Andor every single Wednesday or Thursday, and then we're going to wrap up Daredevil by next Wednesday as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned for all the dopeness we have going on here on the channel. I got some more niche reviews and some movie reactions coming down the pipeline, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And I have a whole new project I'm slowly in the works and turning those wheels and getting going, so I'm hoping by next month we can launch that as well. But until then, thank you so much for each and every one of you that stuck around to the end of the video. I appreciate you all so much, and until next time, make sure you stay safe out there. Much love, and I'll catch you again soon. Peace.